Morning! So today marks the 3-year anniversary of my metal leg, and over the past sort of 6 months maybe, I've received a lot of messages asking what my story is, why I started blogging, and what really made my confidence go. So I thought, what better day to do it than my leg's birthday. So go back post 3 years, and I was confident I would get on anything. I didn't care if it was a bucker, a rearer, a bolter. I would get on it without even thinking twice. It's actually probably not really recommended and was quite dangerous, but I used to do it anyway, and I used to enjoy it, and I had no issues with fear. So 3 years ago, I was out to the day. I was out competing my trusty warm blood, who didn't put a foot wrong usually, and we'd had such an odd day. Dressage was actually really good, which it never usually is for him. We'd had 3 or 4 poles in the show jumping, which again, never usually happens. But I decided to run him anyway, and that was probably the worst decision I've ever made. So I ran him, knowing he didn't feel right. I had to kick out of the start box, and we managed to get between fence 6 and 7, not even near a fence. And I went one way, he went the other. I don't know what happened. It was all very, very quick, but I got dragged, and that was it. My leg was no longer whole, and neither was my confidence. So moral of that story is, if your horse doesn't feel right, listen to it, take it home. Don't try and do something that isn't right, because it will either end up going very wrong or it will end up being very dangerous. So I went from being a super confident rider who would get on anything, whether it was dangerous or not, to someone that didn't even want to go near a horse. So I spent 7 days in Brighton Hospital after the accident, and obviously Brighton's quite far away from home. Everyone's got work commitments and life, so I spent a lot of time there alone. So I had a lot of time to think, and I was working myself up and up and up that actually I never wanted to go near a horse again. I didn't want to ride. I didn't want to look at a horse. I think someone brought me in some horse magazines. I didn't even read them. That's how bad it was. And I just couldn't shake the feeling of failure and, fear. So Dutch went the minute I got home, and it wasn't even that I didn't want to be around him. It was just the crippling fear of being around a horse at all. And I don't even know what I was scared of at that point. Just anything going wrong, I guess. So I'm not usually one to follow doctor's advice. But in this case, the doctors told me not to ride, and it was easier for me than admitting to everyone that I was scared. It's easier for me just to go along with the doctor. The doctor said I can't ride, I'm not allowed. When actually, all that was going on in my head was, I don't want to go near another horse, I don't want to ride. I don't want to tell anyone that, because then I'll look like a massive failure. So Dutch's loan then broke down. He had to come home, which meant that I had to get over some part of that fear, because I was going to have a 17-hand field ornament. So I was going to have to at least bring him in from the field to feed him. So I started off initially being led on someone else's horse around the arena. And eventually I come off the lead, I come off the lunge, and I was going around by myself with someone else standing there. But I was going around by myself, and I was actually doing it. And because I was getting on with it, although I had like the feeling of being sick in my mouth all the time, I was just taking baby steps to getting back to where I was before. So I spent that winter going and doing walking trot tests and jumping 12 inches on my giant horse, and just taking little steps each time to do something a little bit different and take me out of my comfort zone. So I would go to a walk trot test originally, and I would just walk in the outdoor arena when I was warming up, and then I'd only trot for them little bits when I was in the arena. I then built that up so that I was walk trotting and cantering outside when I was warming up, going in a school and walking and trotting, obviously it's a walk trot test. And I built that up until the point where I felt I was able to go and do a prelim. And the same went for jumping. So I was going out and doing, I don't think I've done the 9 inches, but I was going out and doing 12 and 18 inches, which Dutch could do with his eyes closed because he's so bloody big. And I was then practicing a little bit bigger in the warm-up because there was people around. So practicing a little bit bigger in the warm-up in my lessons, just going that little bit bigger, a little bit more difficult. Adding in, you know, different things. Just so baby, just like drip feeding, basically. Drip feeding little things back in to what I was doing before to try and get me back to where I wanted to be. So anyone that's part of a riding club will know that if you're going to be on a riding club team, your entries have to be in super early. So it was coming up to the end of spring, I think, and I had to let the team know if I was going to go and do their 80. And after a lot of thought, you know, I was petrified at the thought of doing it. Again, didn't want to admit defeat, and so I agreed to do it. And I think that was the turning point for me. That really made me get my shit together. At that point, I had no choice but to get on with everything and to start pushing myself, because I not only had myself to go and please when we went to Rockbourne, I also had a whole other team of people. So that was really the stepping stone that I needed to getting back to doing what I wanted to do and what I loved. And even though I was telling myself I didn't want to do it, I clearly did, because I just kept being drawn into it. So my confidence was coming back, which was fantastic. And, you know, I was getting on really, really well. I then got Barney because I was getting on so well. And I got him in the April. I think I sat on him all of about 4 times before August, when I decided that actually I was probably going to sell him, because I was petrified. I wouldn't ride him unless someone was there leading me, or at least someone was on the ground near me, because I'd got so complacent on Dutch by that point, and I built up all this trust in him. How could I possibly trust another horse? So I wasn't going to sell Barney from the field. I took him to a friend's, and she helped me with the training of him in the initial stages. And it was at that point that she turned around and said, you know, I think you're actually making the wrong decision, and I think it's Dutch you need to be selling, and you need to start fresh. You need to start over, and you need to start riding Barney, because he's going to take you further. You're going to learn more, and actually you're going to progress so much more as a rider. So at that point, my pride, as per usual, was way too hard to be hit. So I agreed for some unknown reason. And that was one of the best decisions that I've ever made. And not because I don't love Dutch, because I still do. And he owes me nothing. He was fantastic, and he helped me get back riding. But if I hadn't have sold him, I probably would have stayed where I was, and I would have got complacent. And I'm really glad that I sold him and I focused on Barney, because he really is 1 in a million. And I'm coming to learn now that he is really safe, and he does want to look after me, and he does love his job. So, you know, riding different horses and doing different things, although, yeah, it's pushing us out of our comfort zone and we really don't want to do it because the thought of doing it is scary, actually, it's so much better when we do it. So Barney has really pushed my confidence from strength to strength, because from starting out last season with him, and the first few events where I would just hide in the lorry in the hope that I didn't have to go cross country, to now where, although I'm scared, like, I live for it, and I live for that adrenaline rush. And I think everyone gets scared to a certain extent, but I've not got back to this point by sitting there and doing nothing. It's been such a slow process, and I literally have taken tiny steps, but, you know, it's taken 3 years. But I'm back, and I feel like my confidence is growing just a little bit every single time I do something. So, you know, when I go out hacking, or when I do go around the cross-country course and I come home and we're safe, just those little tiny steps are helping every single time. Another thing that has been a huge decider for me in my journey, I guess, is my self-belief. So I went from being this blasé, you know, I'm great, I'm amazing, I can ride anything sort of person, to someone that tries way too hard. And I'm constantly thinking, am I good enough? I was constantly thinking, am I good enough? You know, I'm so shit. Like, I'm not doing my horse any justice. Should I actually be doing this? You know, all these things that run through your head that actually don't even need to. I took a massive curve in the right direction when I started to realise that actually I don't need to try as hard, and yeah, I am good enough for my horse. And no, I might not be the best rider in the world, but actually, who gives a shit? I'm just going to go out and enjoy my horse and enjoy my day, and who cares if I get a 40 dressage, and who cares if I have every single show jump down, and actually who cares if I get 50 time penalties on a cross country course. It doesn't matter, because we should only be doing what we are doing for us. And it took me a long time to get my head around that, because I was constantly doing it for everyone else around me, and I was wanting to please everyone and make myself look great for everyone. And actually, you don't need to do that, because you should be doing it and you should be enjoying it for you. So as I said before, it's been a really super slow process as well, and I think what really helped was talking about it. And although I didn't take a normal approach, I guess, to talking about it, I, instead of just, you know, talking to my friends, I decided to start a blog. And that has really helped in a strange way, because I don't actually really know any of the people that are on the blog. I know them as their names on Instagram or Facebook, but I don't actually know them. So I think that was maybe a help. I don't know. And I was pouring out to all these people, you know, about my journey and what I've been doing and what I wanted to do. And I think it helped me to vent, and it helped me to tell all what my goals were, because then I felt like I had to do them and I had to reach them. The blog went from having like 150 followers and just a place for me to document my journey and my progress, to having thousands of followers, and I feel like I'm helping other people at the same time, because my story isn't unique, and it's not just me that has been through it. There's thousands of other people in the world, well, you know, on the social media world, that have been through what I've been through, either completely or just little snippets of it. Everyone's got their own little story, and I love that everyone can sort of come together and this can reside with people. And thank you for taking time to watch, and I hope that this story has somehow helped, or, you know, you've been able to relate to it in some sort of way. Let me know in the comments below. Bye.